Hi, this is Susan. We're going to work on an ashtray stand for cigarettes to go in this room box that I'm going to show you next. And let me just say, I do not advocate for smoking. This is just a funny thing. And so we're going to get started. Whitney Labrie sent me a Happy Mail, and this was in it, this stand. And so I kept calling it a column for some reason. Don't know why. I kept calling it a column. And I guess it's a plant stand more than a column now that I put a plant on it. I painted it. It was kind of a coppery color, so I used my brown and my gold to paint it. And then I started looking at it, and I was thinking both directions. Does it look like it could be a cigarette stand, or an ashtray stand? So I don't know. It could. And I need one. So, you know when you walk in a building how they'll have the places to put your cigarette out and they'll have sand in that. But then an ashtray at someone's home or more personal on their desk or something would have more ashes in it. So, we're looking at both those ideas and putting one together with some beads. But I wanted to talk about the ashtray. Now, this was my first attempt months ago, and I was sure. I love doing stuff out of soda cans. You can see it's a soda can. I love doing stuff out of soda cans, and I think, oh, it's going to work. Well, this was very challenging. This was one of the first minis that did not come together. And I mean, I just really put my thinking cap on, and it still didn't come together. So I ordered these regular, these are stamped. They're tool and dyed and stamped. And so I ordered a couple of these, but I was still determined to try to make my own. So this was the best I came up with. And before I gave up. But these were with 2 pieces. So you made like a little dish using, this Dollar Tree ball stylus. But you can also use the back of a Sharpie pen or the back of some kind of tapered pen, rounded tapered. And so then I realized, okay, then maybe I needed to put like the separate ring on there, and do the indentions in it. And so I got close, and with cigarettes going on in it, maybe it wouldn't look so bad. Not my best miniature, but I mean, I did get close. This one looks pretty good. It's got the little indentions. So I'll try them with stuff in them, with the ashes, and we'll see how that goes. But so I was looking at this plant stand and thinking, well, yeah, upside down, it's got the smaller section. Would that work for a plant, for a ashtray stand? It would. Here's the other direction. I'm just so unsure about which direction maybe it's supposed to be bigger at the top. So, I even tried, I want to tell you when I was trying it, I even tried quilling paper to try to make, and it came out looking like a little bowl for cactus. But, you never know if maybe paper quilling's your answer. But it didn't seem to be the answer. So I pulled out all my little stash of pieces, parts, and there's all kinds of little small. This one actually had, the rim on it, and I thought, oh, this is it. I cut it down smaller and put some trash plastic, but it's more Barbie size. But, Barbie would never smoke, not in a million, because she has to, keep her complexion awesome and beautiful, so she's ageless. So I did find this one button here, and I like the outer part. Looked kind of like a bezel to me. The problem is, the good news is it was plastic, so I could cut it and not metal, so cut it easily. But the bad news is it just broke apart, and I had to cut the first one broke in half. The second one broke in 4 pieces. And the third one I cut from the back using, I'm trying to take it out. I use these, some people call them flesh cutters. They're jewelry wire cutters. So I did get it. If you're going to cut anything that's got the acrylic, it really is fragile. Go at it really gently. And that's like these beads. These beads are that acrylic that are gold coated. And there's so many of those wonderful color beads and shapes. And I know we all got them to make vases. And so we've got them in our stash. So that's what I was thinking about making the ashtray stand out of. So this was pretty cool. And then I went ahead and painted. Let me get all this out of the way. I went ahead and painted the... oh, you also need foam. If you're going to use... you need some styrofoam if you're going to do this, because you need to press against styrofoam to emboss anything. But, I made a mirror, embossed mirror, so it really does work in some ways. Okay, so I took this and I painted it gold. And so I thought, that's close to the size for that stand. Would hold, good amount of cigarettes. So if you have, this one was interesting. This looks like some 60s or 70s, kind of heavy around the edges. It reminded me of some old ashtrays that I'd seen at thrift stores or something, vintage stores. This one, pretty basic metal button, has a good outer edge. And even the back side had some interesting ribbing that looked like it could work. So, because they've got some ribbing on them. So, go in your bead stash. Definitely go in your bead stash and look. This one, gosh, this came from high school. I remember this. This actually, I used to make all my clothes in high school. And I'm very tall, and so nothing retail fit. And not that my mother had money to buy me a lot of clothes, but I just started making my clothes and all my formals. And that actually, like, flashback, when I was going through there, I was like, I remember that, and I remember the outfit. Well, this one, these are neat beads, and this, again, is that plastic that's coated bronze. Wonderful. Bezel for something. There's a little rounded button for something else. But, yeah, go through your stash. Because, the one thing, when we can't put a miniature together, I get frustrated. But the neat thing about it is you get to look through your stash. If you have the patience and the time, you get to see the things you hadn't seen in a while and forgotten that you had. And then it kind of renews you to what you have available to you to make things. So I tried to look at it that way as I was getting very frustrated, and it was like day 2 of trying to figure this out. Okay, and then we're going to make cigarettes too, and I'll show you what I went through in that process. Okay, so what I did was I took a piece of like paper clip wire and put a bead on the end of it. I always start this way, to get it stuck to the base. And that way it sits up on its own. And, you need to use super glue, the gel or whatever, to get that started. So here's what I was thinking. Like, I like this bead a lot. So I was thinking on this one. Oops. Runaway beads. You think my table was slanted. Then I was thinking that one, and then there's a little middle one that kind of is not really round like it should be, but it's the only one that fits there, so. Okay, so I got this much, and then I was trying to decide, did I want to use the same up here? One of the things I found, here's another, these are all this plastic acrylic, and I've seen them on Temu. I don't know, where you got them. Okay, now here's that bezel that I cut out of. So then I saw this, And I thought, I like that. I like the brightness of it and all the gold here. And then I saw how this went just wonderfully on there. Now, I really like that, but the downside is that it wouldn't hold very much. I really like the look of it because I need one at home in the dollhouse. So I liked it, but I don't know. So I still have to think on that because it wouldn't hold as much, even though it does match the look and makes it more of a home, where, you know, it seemed like in the buildings, they were real big around and they were sitting by a column and then people put their cigarettes out and go in the buildings. And, you know, I like old Hollywood movies and they all smoke. So we'll work on this. We'll work on the bowl part and I'll need to glue the others. And we'll go from there. So, let me find my super glue and let this set up while we work on making cigarettes. And I found, I tried the paper and I didn't have so much luck with the paper cigarettes. So I went and looked online to see what was I doing differently. And I really wasn't doing anything differently. I just didn't think they were working out so good. Oops. Kind of got a little too much there. This, I thought I was buying super glue gel, and I may have actually gotten regular super glue. And you know how when you pull it off, you're looking at it and then you pull it off and you get home and you go, I know I was looking at the other thing. You wonder, how did you pull it off the peg wrong that you got the different one? It was kind of that case. Okay, I need to put a little bit more for the top. So somehow I think I went to buy the gel and I got home with just the regular. So it'll be interesting to see how fast the regular sets up. It's actually glued. It's actually glued my finger to. It sets up really fast. My finger was glued to the bead. Oh my gosh, I highly recommend the gel and not the super glue. Oh no, that was so funny. I've never had it set up that fast. But I did, when I was young, I did super glue my fingers to a shag carpet. Both hands. I went to get up to go to the restroom, and after working a long time in the floor, cutting out a pattern, and I put both fingers down, and they had, I take that back, I was making some shoes. I was taking the bottoms off of one pair of shoes and the tops off another, and I was going to make my own shoes. Okay, so let's let that dry. I was calling out for help for 30 minutes until somebody heard me and came and cut me loose from the shag carpet. I literally could not pull my fingers away from it. Then we had to call the emergency room to find out what would take it off, because they made super glue, but they didn't tell you how to remove it. And the guy in the ER was so funny. He was telling us all the ways that people super glue things. And that was really hilarious. Okay, I went ahead and I made ashes, and I went ahead and put them on there because I just wanted to see how the ashes were going to look, whether I wanted sand or ashes for which one of these I liked. So I like both. Might use both. You know, back in the old Hollywood, the old 40s, 30s, 40s, they smoked a lot. All those are all smoking. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put some sand. I just have this little Dollar Tree sand that doesn't really look like sand. It's not white and it's not dark brown or browner. It's glittery. It's kind of weird, but it works. So I'm going to put some of that first, since this is a deep cup. Well, come on, glue. It's getting cold here, so my glue's getting hard. You know that we had an 89-degree day in February? That is so bizarre. To have 89 degrees. And then it started dropping 10 degrees at a time. Now we're where we should be for February. Okay, so let's get some. Now, I think I'm going to put, you know, because I've touched the glue surface, but I still have sand. I'm going to put a drop of Mod Podge matte. Oops, excuse me. Hit the camera. Mod Podge matte. Just a drop or two to soak down in. It really is getting colder. All my products aren't as liquidy as when it was 89 degrees. This should go down in here. But everything's getting a little harder, firmer. Well, we'll still need this for putting ashes. But you know, the Mod Podge is more liquidy than your craft glues. So if you need something to stick together, but you can't touch it a whole lot. Okay, so let's see. Now we're looking at cigarettes. And here's the one, here's what I made. And I want to show you let's get in focus. Come on. See the cigarette that looks like it has a red tip to it? And it's still got, I put the cotton to make it look like it didn't get put out exactly, you know, just right, and it's still smoking. Even though you might like doing that with your ashtray. See the wisp? And then I dotted the tip with red. This one over here is like a red lipstick. And believe it or not, there is actually different ways that people put cigarettes out. Not like I'm an expert on it. But, you know, they crunch them down in. They kind of do one crunch. And then they crunch a little to where it's still lit. Still going. So that's what we're going to do. So I put this up here. We'll see what it looks like. This one was using, first I tried paper. I'll show you that one. But this was using the Q-tip. And you know, there's the plastic tube Q-tip that, I don't know if just Dollar Tree or everybody carries it. But I like this old Q-tip. It's wrapped paper. It really is the way to go. I think this one was just the Q-tip without doing anything to it. And then the cotton wisp, that's the smoke, is just pulling a piece of this off. But let me show you the paper. Let me show you the evolution in case this is what you have at home. Now this is the wire off the twist tie. And the lettuce wire is the big piece of wire. That's a good one. Now this was my paper originally. This you can see in it. I wasn't able to get it very wound up. And I really tried. I was really pushing it at the edge. So then I thought, well, maybe if I put wire at the edge. So if you're going to try using twist tie wire, like really glue it right at the edge and let it dry thoroughly. And then start working on your roll. Because I did better doing it the second time. And then, you know, you want to glue this, your last roll, glue it, and then go and cut it as tight to that glue as you can. so that it lays flat. So let's see how that turned out. Well, apparently I'm still going to have to trim off paper, even though I got it real close. So you can see in the end slightly, well, I don't know how to get it in focus. You can see in slightly, just you can see the wire there. But the thing with the wire also is, you know, when you go to crunch it down, it's going to stay crunched down and it's going to stay rounded instead of going flat, which paper, you know, is, if it's got the hole in it, it's going to go flat. So really try, if you're going to do paper, trash to treasure, then definitely try to get the piece of twist tie wire. Okay, the other thing besides the Q-tip, which is this size, this one was the using the Q-tips. It's a little large. Maybe if Ken smoked, then, well, come into focus. Okay, if Ken smoked, maybe that's almost like a cigar size. But this paper, you can cut the ends off, which we're going to do with a Tootsie Pop. This is a Dum Dum. They have them at Dollar Tree. And we're going to cut this off and see about taking it apart. Now this one I took apart, and you can see right here some of the line in the, but you can make it as small as, I've already cut the line. You just, for the sake of time, you just go down it. I like to go down from the middle one direction and turn it and go down the middle to the second direction. And I think that helps you control it because it wants to roll around because it is round. And so it'll help you have a little more control. Okay, this kind of hard on your nails, but what craft isn't? And just try to get this open. We're going to open on both sides. Look at there. And the first piece is going to come off pretty gnarly looking. But then we'll get a full piece. So, to unwrap. And there's, let's see, this is our full piece. There it is. Look how small we're getting this. Really down to, I mean, this was so much less time than doing it with paper. I just kept trying to get it small with paper. So, and you get a lollipop to suck on while you're doing it. So, I like this. I was really trying to come up with something. So now we're just going to, you know, cut this paper edge off of it. And again, you're going to need to glue. You're going to need to like open it up just the slightest bit and put some glue in your. Now when you're cutting that Tootsie Pop, try to stay, you know, keep your hand even with your pressure so you don't cut through too many layers in one spot and not enough layers in another. And that'll make the difference in how easy it opens up. Definitely make a difference. So just take a toothpick and just try to give it a little bit of glue. And the Q-tip will work this way too. It's just smaller starting out and you can't put as much pressure on it. But this was easier to show. Okay, so now think about the kinds of cigarette butts that I was saying that people do different types of cigarette butt. You know, if you watch the old movies, you'll watch them smoke and it's like they always go through the whole process. And so we've got you can use whatever you want to use to cut these apart. I could have actually made these even smaller, really. Thinking maybe they should have been smaller. Every time I closed one of these that I was practicing on, I was like, maybe I should have made it smaller. For the sake, I'm looking at it through the camera and it looks big. If you're going to make it smaller, do it real quick because that glue just really grabs. I'm thinking it. Maybe so. Maybe a little bit smaller. Can't make it too much smaller. See, now I put more pressure in one area and so it cut through. So keep your pressure even when you're cutting it, you know, through. And it'll help if you do, you know, midpoint down and turn it around. Yeah, I think this, even a little bit smaller is better. And you can make cigars this way. Now, you know, I've seen like in the cigarette boxes and cigar boxes, you know, people use toothpicks. And that's what I was kind of gauging it by the, so look and see by the width of a toothpick. Now this one did get down to a toothpick, and then we could have gone as small as we wanted to go. Just because all of this is just rolled up. These are just wonderful for this. So I still could go smaller, but I'm not going to. So we'll just stay with this. And here's the compared to the paper. There's just no comparison. Okay, so let's cut it into pieces. Decide, you know, what kind of cigarettes you want. Short ones, long butts, you know, long ones that just got puffed a little. How you want to do it. Let's go ahead and make, well, before we do that, let's go ahead and make the ashes so they'll have a little chance to dry before we put them into our bowls. I use the descant, and this, it's called silica beads, but these are not the beads. These aren't the round beads. These are these are going to be the smaller, grainier pieces. Sometimes it comes with, now these beads look a little, maybe a little bigger. This pack might be a little bigger. So I just find they're all over the place. Some are bigger, some are, you know, even dark. And if you get the charcoal color, you definitely want to use those in your fireplace. So you can see where I made them before. So I just add white glue to black, get a little bit of gray. Oops. Kind of messy. This bottle's about out. So I get a little bit of gray going and mix gray and white. Just one drop of black. Goes a long way. And then I'm going to take a little bit of, and mix this all up. And don't really mix up the colors too much, you know, to get it one color just kind of take all the color, and that way it'll color everything differently. This looks kind of messy right now, but it did turn out good using this. And there's so many more of the grainy silica. If y'all have ever used it for anything, comment what you've used it for, because there's so many more of the little grainy packets than there is of the round beads. And you know, you can make chocolates out of the round beads with chocolate paint. But I've got all these grainy ones and not a whole lot to do with the grainy. So now it's starting to look like ashes. You know, kind of more clumpy, bigger pieces, but we can break them down. Okay. So you might, you know, dot a little bit of black over on one, and if you want to get some more black in there, more darker color, you can dot some of that in. I guess it's, you know, just what you recall. I'm just doing this from memory, so you do what works for you. Sometimes it helps to, you know, bring up a picture or something. Okay, so I want to add this to the sand, but let's go ahead and color the cigarettes. And I've already done some cigarettes from the roll that I did earlier. I was practicing on the I was practicing on the Q-tip, and I actually did cut the Q-tip down as well, and that made it even smaller. So these are what I came up with, and like I'm using this pen. It's an alcohol marker. You might prefer to use a colored pencil, but they are a little dark in places. I don't know, for some reason it absorbed more in some place than another, but I like this. Okay. So I'm just going to put it around the back end. I tap once around the back end. Filters are pretty much the same size, I guess. If you do a longer cigarette first, then if you get too much of the filter, you can cut it off. And then I tap, you know, where they've pulled the smoke through, and it kind of, this is starting to dry out from having this out and making all these cigarettes. Okay, so I don't know what the color on this is. It's a number 126. I think I got these well, I think I might have gotten them at this resale place that sells craft materials. See the number 126. Anyway, it's 126, and it's called Alcohol Art Marker, and it's got the broad and the brush, but it's the thin one. So I picked up several that were there, different colors. I just have a lot of the different browns. So now, do you want to put some lipstick on one of these? Do you want one to be a work, you know, be still not out all the way? And just you decide. Okay, so now I like to take my pencil, because I think that when we do the black end, it's not just black, like just on the tip. You know, you've got it's been smoked, so there's just a little smoke coming up. So I like it to put the pencil lead on there just to replicate like what smoking might do to it, the actual smoke. And so it's not just white and black. And let me go ahead and make this one a lit one so you can see how that works. So I just hit the red all over the end first. And then come in and just tap. And if you mess up, just, put that side down and just practice on another. If you have one that's cut sideways, that might be the good one to do red, because it'll angle when you lay it on your ashtray. Okay, so there. See, it's angled a little bit on the cut, so that helped it. See, I did the red first, then went around the black. Because it was angle cut, that actually shows the red a little bit better. And then there's the ashtray. I mean the filter. Okay, so next I'm gonna use these jewelry pliers that are rounded so I don't put like crunches in them, and decide, do I want this? I'm going to keep that one because that actually turned out. Now see, here's one that's the glue's kind of let loose a little bit. So, okay, so like crunch that, turn it around, crunch the filter part. Like, there you go. So it's crunched to go down into the, oops, where is it? There we go. And that's using these jewelry pliers. Okay, so let's go ahead and put some of this. I'm going to put some more Mod Podge. See how the Mod Podge went into it? It did drain into the. So I'm going to put a little bit more to grab the ashes. The ashes do fall apart after the clumpiness. They'll start falling apart a little bit. I use the Mod Podge there to grab them. And you could put some more sand in, whatever looks good to you. If you've got enough of your sand up the sides. The sand is down around it. I mean, this is a real small one. Okay, so now we're going to look at sticking our cigarettes in there. And you want to play with the placement of your cigarettes. Do you want the black to show? Do you want them to sit sideways? And just play around with that. I'm going to put one with red lips on it. Let's see. I wonder if ladies put their cigarettes out differently from men. Okay, so see how that's going. Now, if it was like this ashtray, we might want to have a cigarette still going. Okay, so I'm going to stick this on here before the hole gets all glued up and it won't stay. Okay, so there's my ashtray stand. And I'm just going to go and kind of bring down the shiny gold later. I'll just maybe play around with a little gold and brown paint and kind of bring down that shininess, I think, a little bit. Okay, so let's put a little glue dot, and let me show you how to do the wisp of cotton, like the cigarette's still burning. Now, here's the top where I can see the burn the best. So I'm going to put this on the bottom of that and put it right there where I can see it real good. And let me find a little wisps I took off. Let me separate them and see if there's one I like better than another. So you're just pulling on the cotton and off the Q-tip, and when you pull, you'll just get a little wisp. And you just decide how big you want it. Like that's a good one. That's pretty small. Cut the end. It's got some good shape to it. Comes into focus. There you go. It's got some good shape to it. Kind of twisted at the top. So now we just need a tiny bit of glue to get it to stick. You might even want to put the wisp in first and then butt the cigarette up to it. And you can see a dot of the red. So you want to make sure you see the red. And there's your smoke. And then you can decide if you want to put other cigarettes around it. So, sorry, it's slow to focus. There you go. The paper's kind of showing a little bit where down here. Make sure you trim off the paper real good where it sticks out past the glue line, so it won't show. There you go. It's got ashes, and you just add as many cigarettes as you want. And so if we put this on here, there's one of our stands. You can take a plant stand and turn it into an ashtray stand. And then here's this one that we made from beads with the sand and the ashes. And then, like I said, I have this to decide if I want to put that on. But it'll kind of cover, it will cover a lot of the surface. So, there you go. Okay, I'll see you in the next video when I show you what I'm going to put all this in. It's a room box. So please come back. Please like, share, subscribe. Come back and visit me and see that room box.